In the 90s, fighters were big business, with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat and Tekken all setting the gold standard for fighters in their own unique way. Street Fighter was cartoony and colourful, with fluid gameplay. Mortal Kombat was edgy, gory and had a darker tone, and Tekken was the first fighter at the time to be 3D. But today I'm not talking about the best fighting games, no. Because today I'm going to be taking a look at 5 of the worst fighting games of the 1990s. Each of these games are worse than the last and showcase just how lazy or clueless the developers were. So strap yourself in, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. Never has a name for a crap game been so close to describing just how bad it actually is. Instead of balls, the game should have just been named Bollocks, because that's exactly what it is. Plus it won't be classed as false advertising. So, what's the whole premise? Well, it's a fighter that has characters made up of balls? These balls are mainly used to give the game a pseudo 3D appearance, and in that respect it does work rather well. And that's it for the positives. So for the negatives, Balls sells itself as a revolutionary fighting game, yet fails to deliver on both counts. Let's start with the characters, who are quite a diverse bunch. You have a farting monkey, a clown, a caveman, and a ballerina, to name but a few. Well, I think that's what they are anyway, because being made out of balls, they all look the damn same and barely look like anything at all. After every 3 fights that you win, you will face a boss, and these boss battles are ridiculously difficult, and yeah, a bit cheap. The first boss is a bloody ostrich named Guggler, who can restore a health bar sticking her head in the ground, and she maintains a distance due to having a ranged attack, so it's almost impossible to beat her. Balls just feels more like a tech demo to showcase the pseudo 3D look on a 16-bit console, because as a game it is incredibly threadbare, with the characters offering absolutely nothing to the game. The controls are just so clunky and make fighting a chore, and the start screen music sounds like a 70s German porn film. Oi! Oi! Das ist gut, nein! Schnell, schnell! Oi! Oi! Next up then is Mortal Kombat. Wait, what? Mortal Kombat was a brilliant game, I hear you say. And yes, you are right, it's a fantastic game. Except on the Game Boy. You see, it is so bad that no amount of alcohol or drugs can help you forget this pimple on the bell end of the Mortal Kombat franchise. I can't be too harsh though, as the game was limited to the hardware of the original Game Boy. But fuck me. It's like they just couldn't be arsed with this game. Much like me after 5 minutes of playing the damn thing. I mean, my favourite character is Sub-Zero. But which one is he? The graphics are what they are, to be honest, but what really lets it down is the gameplay. You know, the key component of any video game. It plays so painfully slow. Seriously, it looks like it's playing at 1 frames per second, and it really saps any kind of enjoyment out of the game to begin with. So you think, sod it, I'll just use some special attacks, then have a bit of fun with a fatality. Yeah, well, good fucking luck with that, because you got more chance of shagging the Queen. It's just so unresponsive and can leave you scratching your head wondering what the best way to destroy the cartridge would be. I opted for flushing it down the toilet with all the other turds. Now this game is interesting really, because graphically at the time it was fantastic. But that is all it had. Rise of the Robots is best described as shit rolled in glitter, because underneath an impressive veneer hid what was arguably one of the worst fighting games ever. Now the game was hyped. It ran some adverts bigging up not only the graphics, but some of the most advanced AI that had ever been seen in a video game. The game also boasted a soundtrack by none other than Brian May. So, what's so bad? Well, the AI was flawed, as every one of your opponents could be defeated by continually using jump kicks. To make the adverts look even more stupid, there was a dispute with Brian May over the music for the game. I'm guessing he just saw how crap the game was and didn't need any more embarrassment on top of that curly mullet. So aside from all that, the game itself is just boring. The controls are clunky, it's slow, the characters are boring, as are the settings. What's even more strange though is that the end boss is called the Supervisor. And the Supervisor is not a boss. Scarily though, there was big plans for the game, with a novel penned, toys to be made, a cartoon and even a movie. In the end, only the novel got released. So yeah, looked great at the time, but plays like one of those multi-cart fighting games simply called Fighting. Just avoid this at all costs, and if you do have a copy then... Oh boy, now this is going to divide opinion, but I don't care because it really is shit. Playing Shaq Fu is about as much fun as slamming your balls in a car door. So let's start this on a positive. The graphics for the time were rather nice. It used digitised graphics, much like Mortal Kombat. For some reason though, the sprites were 2/3 the size of characters from other fighting games. It just didn't seem right when playing. The game really does seem like an insane spice-fueled idea, because Shaquille O'Neal being the biggest basketball star at the time would have been a better fit for, you know, a basketball game, rather than trying to be the next Karate Kid. Anyway, the story goes that Shaq is on his way to a charity basketball game in Japan, and stops by a dojo, as you do, where a stereotypical old Japanese guy asks Shaq to rescue a boy in the second dimension. Of course Shaq is well up for it. He enters a portal and turns into Shaqy fucking Chan. Yeah, the story is as bad as Audley Harrison in the ring, but the gameplay has to be good, right? Well, no it isn't. The controls are so unresponsive that it breaks the game. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, for example, use special attacks really well, and they was relatively easy to master and to get to grips with. Shaq Fu, on the other hand, is like trying to complete a Rubik's Cube with your ass. It's impossible. The controls feel delayed due to animation frames, but who cares? It should have been programmed like many other fighters of the time. The only way to not get your ass handed to you is to just spam your opponent with kicks, because, yeah, that's real fun. One other issue is the sound, or lack of it. It's just so uninspired and hard to hear. For example, you can hit a move and hear nothing, which, when you think just how nice the game looks, it's a travesty that the rest of the game is dump. Shaq Fu really is a case of all gear and no idea. It had the star, it had the look, but played awful. Bit like Manchester United. Just to add as a footnote, even Shaquille O'Neal said the game sucks ass. And there's even a movement on the internet whose mission it is to get every copy of Shaq Fu and destroy them. Finally then is Cosmic Carnage. And it is so shit that after 5 minutes you'll be begging to watch a Kardashian marathon whilst being tied up and having someone flick your balls until you're sick. So yeah, Cosmic Carnage. Well, best way to describe it is, it's a shit fighting game, released for the equally as shit Sega 32X. It's a game that boasts a massive roster of 8 characters. Yeah, 8. And remember, this was on the 32X. Even Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Boy had 8 characters to choose from. The worst is yet to come though. So you pick your boring generic fighter, then you fight. Or at least you try to, because the controls are so clunky, you'd be forgiven for thinking they've been lifted from Resident Evil 1. One of the worst things about the game though is that it is just so slow, which adds to the frustrating clunky controls to create a truly awful gaming experience. Also, you know when a character is defeated on Street Fighter 2 and they fall to the floor in slow motion? Well, on this game, the characters fall even slower. It is so slow that you could make a cuppa, or a noose, whichever you're feeling at the time, I guess. There is a saving grace, however. It is a console exclusive, and thankfully no one was stupid enough to buy the 32X. So yeah, avoid it like the plague. But just in case you have played it and become traumatised, here is the Samaritan's number. And remember, I'm always here for you. And that's my list of 5 of the worst fighters of the 1990s. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with any of these 5? And if not, why not? I look forward to seeing your responses. But for now, I must bid you farewell, and I will see you very soon with another video. Thank you for watching.